When God says it's your time, there is not a force in hell, not a person on earth, not a system, and not even your own past that can stop what He has ordained for you. Divine timing is one of the most mysterious and yet most powerful truths in the life of a believer. Many times we find ourselves anxious, frustrated, and even doubtful because we can't see what God is doing behind the scenes. We look at others being elevated, we see doors opening for them, and we wonder, Lord, when will it be my turn? But what we fail to understand is that when God tells you, your time to be lifted has come, it means every unseen preparation, every quiet sacrifice, and every hidden seed you've sown is now aligning with heaven's calendar. God doesn't operate by man's clock. He operates by divine order. And when that divine order says asterisk, now asterisk, no power can delay it. In the seasons when it seems like nothing is moving, God is still working. He is arranging circumstances, shifting people, and orchestrating events to align with the moment He planned before you were even born. You see, sometimes God hides you to prepare you. He keeps you in obscurity not to punish you, but to preserve you. Because if you arrive before your time, you'll mishandle what He's trying to give you. Divine timing means that while you're praying for promotion, God is building the foundation strong enough to carry it. While you're praying for opportunity, He's shaping your character so that when you get there, you'll be ready to handle the weight of it. The waiting season is not wasted. It's a workshop where God refines your faith and purifies your motives. He won't lift you until your heart is aligned with His will. When God says it's your time, it means that what used to work against you will start working for you. The same people who overlooked you will have to watch God elevate you. The same doors that were locked will swing open on their own. The same pain that broke you will become the platform for your purpose. Because God's timing is redemptive, He restores not just what you lost, but the time you thought was wasted. Some of you have been asking, why did it take so long? But if you look closer, you'll see that every detour, every disappointment, every delay was actually divine direction. God was protecting you from premature exposure. He was holding you back until the right moment, the right people, and the right opportunity were in place. It's easy to think God has forgotten you when doors stay closed. But the truth is that He's testing your endurance. He wants to know if you can trust Him even when nothing is happening. He wants to see if you can worship without reward, if you can praise without promotion, if you can keep believing when there's no evidence. Because faith that only functions when everything is going your way is not faith at all. Real faith is standing firm when it looks like the promise will never come. And when God sees that kind of faith, He steps in and says, now you're ready. The timing of God is not about convenience, it's about readiness. God won't lift you into something you can't sustain. He'll keep you in the background until your spirit, your discipline, and your character match the magnitude of your calling. When divine timing manifests, it doesn't ask for permission. You won't have to force it, beg for it, or manipulate it. It will unfold naturally, powerfully, and unmistakably. Suddenly, the favor of God begins to surround you. People who never noticed you start to recognize you. Opportunities start chasing you instead of you chasing them. The same environment that once rejected you now receives you because heaven has announced your time. That's why the Bible says He makes all things beautiful in its time. Not before, not after, asterisk, in its time. Asterisk, when it's your time, beauty replaces brokenness, peace replaces pressure, and manifestation replaces waiting. You have to understand that divine timing is not just about blessing, it's about alignment. It's when your preparation meets God's appointment. You may feel behind, but you're right on schedule. You may feel forgotten, but you're still on his radar. Every hidden year, every silent prayer, every unnoticed act of faith has been accumulating weight in the Spirit. When God finally says, "It's time," that weight becomes momentum. What took others 10 years to achieve, God will do for you in one. What seemed impossible before suddenly becomes effortless because grace has gone ahead of you. There's a reason the enemy fought you so hard in your waiting season. He knew that when your time came, nothing could stop you, so he tried to make you give up before the breakthrough. He tried to convince you that God had abandoned you, that the promise wasn't real, that the dream was too big. But the very fact that you're still standing means the timing is near. When God declares your time to be lifted has come, it's not a suggestion, it's a decree. Heaven has authorized your elevation, and no demon, no disappointment, no delay can overturn that. All the tears you cried, all the prayers you prayed, all the sacrifices you made were not in vain. They were the currency of faith that prepared the way for this moment of divine lifting. Before God lifts you to the mountain, he will often take you through the valley, not to break you, but to build you. Every great person used by God has had to endure a season of hidden preparation, a time when it feels like life is standing still, like prayers are echoing back without answers, like you're doing everything right but still being overlooked. What many don't realize is that these valley seasons are not punishment, they are process. God uses the valley to shape your heart, strengthen your faith, and prepare your hands for the blessings he has already written into your destiny. The valley is where the noise of the world quiets down so that you can finally hear the voice of God clearly. It's where you learn obedience, humility, and endurance. It's the classroom of the called, the training ground of the chosen. When you're in the valley, it's easy to think God has forgotten you, but he hasn't. He's actually the most present when you feel the most alone. The valley is where dependence on God is forged. It's where you learn that your strength won't carry you, your connections won't sustain you, and your plans won't fulfill you. It's the place where you stop relying on your own understanding and start trusting completely in his. Because on the mountain, where visibility is high and the applause is loud, you won't have time to build your faith. So God builds it in the quiet, in the low places, in the moments when you have nothing to lean on but him. You can't skip the valley and expect to stand firm on the mountain. Every great elevation requires deep preparation, and God will not lift you until he knows you're strong enough to handle the height. In the valley, God strips away the unnecessary weight, pride, impatience, insecurity, comparison, all the things that would make you stumble when you rise. He uses obscurity to purify your motives. Because if your desire to be lifted is driven by validation instead of purpose, the elevation will destroy you. The valley humbles you, teaches you to serve when no one's watching, to give when no one's clapping, to love when it's not reciprocated. These lessons cannot be learned in comfort. They are carved in pain, molded through disappointment, and refined through surrender. You cannot skip the struggle and expect to sustain success. What God builds in private becomes the foundation for what he displays in public. Sometimes the valley will feel endless. You'll watch others being promoted while you remain in the shadows. You'll pray and cry, wondering, "Lord, what about me?" But what if the delay isn't denial, it's development? What if God is working on something inside you that's more important than what you're asking for? The mountain will expose whatever the valley didn't heal. So if you carry insecurity, pride, or bitterness with you, success will only magnify it. That's why God takes his time in the valley. He's not slow, he's strategic. He's not holding you back. He's holding you together until you're whole enough to stand under the weight of blessing. Every storm in the valley is a teacher. Every closed door is a lesson. Every painful experience is preparation for where you're going next. David didn't become a warrior in the palace. He became one in the pasture. It was in the valley that he learned to trust God with a sling and a stone before he ever faced Goliath. Joseph didn't reach the throne without first being thrown into the pit, sold into slavery, and locked in prison. The valley produced the character that the crown required. You see, elevation without preparation is dangerous. It's better to be delayed and developed than promoted and destroyed. God is more interested in your becoming than your arriving. Because when you become who He created you to be, the arrival will happen naturally. In the valley, God also teaches you perspective. He lets you see how fragile human approval is, how temporary success can be, and how empty recognition feels when you don't have peace. The valley teaches you that fulfillment isn't found in things, but in purpose. It reminds you that the same God who was with you when you were broken will be with you when you're blessed. The valley roots you so that the mountain won't move you. It builds a relationship with God that isn't dependent on circumstances. That's why people who have been through the valley carry a different kind of strength. They've learned how to praise through pain, how to trust without answers, and how to keep walking when the path makes no sense. And though the valley feels lonely, it's actually the most intimate place with God. It's where He whispers identity into your soul. It's where He reveals that your value isn't in what you do, but in who you are. When God hides you, He's not rejecting you. He's protecting you from premature exposure. He knows that public elevation without private formation will crush you, so He keeps you in the valley until your character catches up to your calling. Every tear you cry there waters the seed of your destiny. Every prayer you pray in the dark is building strength for when the light comes. The valley is not your final destination. It's the tunnel to transformation. When you finally come out, you won't be the same person who entered. You'll be wiser, stronger, more grounded, and ready for the mountain God has prepared for you. Before God can lift you to the next level, He will ask you to release what is weighing you down. You cannot ascend while carrying unnecessary burdens, and you cannot be elevated while holding on to what God has already told you to let go of. Many people pray for a new season, but they still cling to old habits, old hurts, and old mindsets. They want to be lifted, but they refuse to loosen their grip on the things that are keeping them grounded. Divine elevation always requires separation. Before God takes you higher, He will strip away everything that cannot survive the altitude. You can't take bitterness, fear, resentment, or doubt to the next level. The air is too thin up there for the weight of unforgiveness or the baggage of your past. God is saying, if you want to rise, release what's holding you down. There are some relationships, mindsets, and attachments that were only meant for the last season. They served a purpose when you were being developed, but now they have become distractions. You can't move forward while constantly looking backward. You can't embrace the new if your hands are full of the old. Sometimes the hardest thing to let go of isn't a person, it's a version of yourself, the one that settled, the one that survived by shrinking, the one that feared change. But if you want to be lifted, you have to be willing to die to that old identity. God is calling you to rise into who you were always meant to be, but that means releasing who you used to be. Every promotion requires pruning, every elevation demands elimination. If you try to take everything with you, you'll find yourself too heavy to move when God opens the door. When God begins to lift you, the weight of certain things will become more noticeable. The gossip, the doubt, the comparison, things that used to feel normal will start to feel uncomfortable. That discomfort is a divine signal. It means God is stretching you out of your old environment. You may lose friends, you may outgrow circles, you may even feel misunderstood, but that's part of being lifted. Not everyone is meant to go where you're going. The higher you rise, the smaller your circle becomes, not because you're arrogant, but because altitude requires alignment. Eagles don't fly with pigeons, not because pigeons are bad, but because they can't handle the same height. Some people can love you sincerely and still not be equipped for your next level. Don't resent them, release them. Holding on to what's beneath you will only delay what's before you. There's also an emotional weight that must be released. You can't carry yesterday's pain into tomorrow's promise. Some of you are still replaying old wounds, still defining yourself by what happened, still allowing the memory of failure to dictate your faith. But God can't fill hands that are full of the past. You must lay it down, the offense, the shame, the disappointment, the guilt. These are spiritual weights that block your momentum. Forgiveness is not just about freeing others, it's about freeing yourself. When you forgive, you lighten your load. When you surrender, you make room for God to move. The moment you let go, divine lift begins. Faith is the opposite of fear, and trust is the key that unlocks elevation. When you release control and stop trying to fix everything on your own, God can finally take over. Some of you are holding on so tightly to your plans that you're missing His purpose. You want to dictate how the promise will unfold, but God doesn't need your permission to bless you. He needs your surrender. The more you try to control it, the heavier it becomes. The moment you say, "Lord, I give it to you," the burden begins to lift. Faith is not just believing in God's power. It's letting go of your need to understand it. The reason you feel stuck is not because God isn't moving. It's because you're still holding what He asked you to release. Letting go doesn't mean losing. It means trusting that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. Every time you release something by faith, you make space for something better. Sometimes God will close a door not to hurt you, but to make sure you stop walking in circles. Sometimes He'll take away what you thought you needed, so He can show you what you were truly made for. What you see as loss, heaven sees as preparation. God will never take something from you without having something greater waiting for you. But you can't receive it until your hands are empty. Divine lift is not just about going higher in position. It's about going deeper in dependence. It's about trading your strength for His strength, your understanding for His wisdom, your will for His will. To rise in God's kingdom, you must first bow in surrender. To go up, you must first lay down. That's the paradox of divine promotion. The more you yield, the more you rise. The moment you stop fighting the process and start flowing with God's plan, you'll feel the lift. Because elevation is not earned, it's released through obedience. You don't have to climb by force when God is the one carrying you upward. All you have to do is remove the weight that's keeping you grounded and trust that when God says your time has come, nothing can keep you from soaring into the destiny He designed for you.